First reports coming out of Padres spring training, some youth, some veterans, some people with some things to say. We'll get to all of that and more. What's going on, everybody? I'm Christian Pedersen, back with another episode of Padres Digest. Before we go any further, got to remind you all who are new to the channel, and that is most of you from what the data looks like. It is time to subscribe. Spring training is here. Updates have gone or are going now from being hypothetical, what might happen, to reporting on what is happening. And right now, what is happening is the P's and C's, pitchers and catchers. Everybody is showing up to Peoria, Arizona to get spring training started. And we have our first sort of reports trickling out. It was not a day of major breaking news. There is no movement on the roster. Nobody has come in saying we're guaranteeing a World Series championship or anything like that, but there are some little nuggets starting to be gleaned from the Padres this season. At the top there, I was showing you some of the rookies who are reporting to spring training. Some of the veterans, like I said, they've got some things to say. There's some new players. So let's just dive right into it. One of the big things that we have talked about a bunch in this offseason is the pitching with the San Diego Padres. Matt Waldron, a lot of the sources for this episode brought to you by Sammy Levitt. He is a radio and play-by-play guy here with the Padres locally, so very reputable source. One of the things that we've really talked about a ton of is pitching, both in the sense that 1 through 3 are handled between Darvish, Cease, and King, and that 4, 5, and beyond are a little bit of an unknown. One of the knowns within the unknown is Matt Waldron. Waldron saying that he's going to be throwing the knuck a little bit more in the regular season this year, and I think that's good. I like it. I love it. I think that Matt Waldron is I don't want to say an anomaly. Is he an oddity? Are knuckleballers in general just a little bit of a entertainment value thing? Sure. But I think that also you could be talking about a guy who provides a real break to hitters, that he is a change in what the Padres have from one day to the next. That if you go out one day of a series and you are facing Dylan Cease throwing gas in the 90s with a big sweeping 80-mile-an-hour slider type vibes, and then the next day you have to show up and play against a guy who's going to throw a lot of knuckleballs, that's an adjustment in that game. But then that's also an adjustment in that next game. And so if Waldron is going to commit, you see his numbers there, over almost 150 innings, I don't know if that's going to necessarily affect the strikeouts or the ERA too much. Sometimes with the knuckleball, you just run the risk of the ball getting smacked around the yard a little bit. But I think that a higher commitment to the knuckleball, we could see the double plays go up based off of that. We could see some of the defensive metrics around the team go up. And I think we could see, just in general, him making it deeper into starts out of just, if he can figure out how to consistently throw it in a way that it increases his approach to hitters strategically, bouncing knuckleball, fastball, knuckleball, curveball. That was very much like a Tim Wakefield, R.A. Dickey formula. I don't know if he's going to have a Tim Wakefield or R.A. Dickey year, but if we've got a knuckleball guy and he's throwing it somewhere in the low 30s versus somewhere in the mid 40s, I like the mid 40s version of that, because go ahead and just commit to it. Ride or die until that knuckleball falls all the way on or all the way off. Next guy I want to talk about, new all-star catcher for the San Diego Padres, Arraez Diaz, came out, and I think it's interesting. He talked in general about how much he likes being here, how happy he is with the signing process, how much he liked meeting everybody in the course of the offseason. And you might say, well, Christian, of course he likes everybody here. The Padres are paying him to play baseball, and the Padres are paying him well to be their starting catcher. I like this in the sense that we have at least somebody on record putting good vibes out towards the front office situation. I don't think that this heals everything, but it could heal a little something of just like, it's not more bad news. And right now, We need all the good vibes we can get. We need all the wins we can get. We need all the good PR and publicity we can get, because there are still, I have said it a lot this offseason, there are more moves to be made from the Padres. So if you have someone like Arraez Diaz out there just making positive statements, it trickles out a little bit. And I think that you start with that as the foundation. We will hear, obviously, from Manny and Fernando and you and all those guys as the spring training progresses. But hearing from the new guys and from some of the fringe guys right out the gate that things are going well has me really excited. And I scratch my head a little bit because, sure, some of this is mental gymnastics where I'm having to get myself excited about the fact that our new catcher is complimenting the front office that just signed him off of free agency. But that's kind of where we're at. Spring training has started, but that doesn't quite mean like we can really dive into what we're seeing out of it. It's sort of a slow buildup. Back to the pitching as we kind of shotgun quickly through some other things going on here. We had talked about some of the interesting information about the who was getting called their non-roster players, who Padres are inviting to maybe potentially compete for some of those starting pitching positions. And it looks like Stephen Kolek is getting the first nod. Now, there will probably be other guys that they try out of the bullpen last year or out of the minor league pool to lengthen out is the term that they use here in terms of trying to take them from a multi-inning reliever or just a rotation guy into being a full-time starting pitcher. But yes, Stephen Kolek is going to get the first nod. Kolek last season for the Padres was good. Not elite. I don't think that there's anybody is sitting waiting in the wings who's like, oh, that guy has just been waiting for a chance. He's been a long reliever, and he's just going to blossom. He's going to be amazing. But I think that there are 5, 6 guys who are just dudes between Kolek and Morihone and Waldron, and just like the list goes on and on. Of you don't need to burden yourself with these names until they start actually appearing on Major League games. But I think there's enough guys that we can rotate through names in that 4 and 5 spot in the Padres lineup or in the Padres pitching rotation that it will do one of 2 or 3 things for us. It'll either buy us enough time to get Musgrove back and healthy down the stretch, have the first 4 really locked in, then we can tinker with, do we even need a 5th for the playoffs, or who's good? Maybe one of those guys does rise to the top, or maybe I'm big on it being Morihone because I like a lefty in the rotation. Like, we can find somebody. Or 2 is lets us know that we need to make a move for pitching because that 4-5 is never going to be fixed, in which case then you look at between Cease, the large consensus going into this season is that Cease, Arraez, and King being on 1-year deals are all the earliest to be circled for trade potential. I think that Xander is one that the Padres would like to be able to move out from underneath that contract unless he's going to have a bounce back to his World Series form, but that's a longer dish one. So looking at those 3, I think you then ask yourselves, if these names don't pan out and we don't get Musgrove back in time, then you start saying to yourself, okay, well then Arraez has to be the first one on the block to get us some more pitching. But I like the position where we're in. Waldron wants to commit more to the knuckleball game. We're going to lengthen out some guys. There will probably, like I said, be 3 or 4 names new to the starting rotation type vibes, getting some starts in the minors, majors combos of games in spring training. Stephen Kolek being the first of them. Beyond that, there's some talk about different potential, this guy to just be able to move up from the minor league system. I don't like any of our minor league or like international signings. You'll see some tweets going on around this guy's going to block. Like, I think that mainly the deals are this year is we have a really good 8-9. We have in the bullpen. We have a really good 1 through 3 in the starting. In between that is kind of like our left field situation. It's going to have to be a platoon of guys, but that platoon is growing stronger. That platoon is growing better. P's and C's have reported. That's the good news for today. More to come, though, so make sure, like I said, at the top of all this, that you subscribe to Padres Digest so that we can drop videos in your timeline every single day without you having to go search anywhere, and so that we can beat Dodgers Digest in terms of total numbers of subscribers. Until then, we will talk to you guys soon.